Right. I need to get psyched up for to be more annoyed again.
I'm already there for different reasons.
You're in that zone already. It actually worked well today. Okay. Welcome back to Just Not Crick Pod on we're a lovely Sunday. We were just speaking off air how lovely and sunny it was. So we're going to spend the rest of this lovely sunny weekend by getting more depressed by talking about England and the state of English cricket. Welcome back and welcome back, Jamie.
Hello.
Um, how has your Champions Trophy experience been?
Um, it was not watching the games fully, catching them in like here and there. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that sums it up really.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we
I said,
last recorded before the tournament started, and obviously it's a quick fire tournament. Um, Out and done. Two groups. All the group stage games are done as of today. India finished top of Group A with New Zealand second after beating New Zealand today. We'll talk about that briefly later, I guess. And then Group B, South Africa and Australia qualify. South Africa topping the group, Australia second. It means South Africa will play New Zealand in Pakistan and India will play Australia in Dubai. Every other team finished with at least a point, apart from England, who finished on zero, losing three from three. I don't even know where to start. I almost feel like I want to get the other stuff out of the way first, and then just spend the rest of the time being depressed talking about England. What do you reckon?
yeah, go with that.
Okay.
I have no preference.
That's fine. So yeah, so India were the only team to win three from three. You could say they had favorable conditions. Um, you could say it is a fact. I don't even care about comments at this stage. I'm so annoyed. Um, Right, because like, let's just jump in because I can't be bothered. It's such stupid. So I sent you the thing yesterday after South Africa beat England. The fact that both South Africa and Australia travelled to Dubai
Mhm.
yesterday in order to try and get as much preparation time as possible, with the possibility that they would have to play India in Dubai and not play their semi-final in Pakistan. Obviously, now we know it will be India, Australia, so Australia will stay out there. I believe I read earlier that South Africa are traveling back to Pakistan at 4 a.m. later tomorrow, which seems like great preparation for you know, less than a day in Dubai, just on the off chance that they're going to go through. What a shambles this tournament is, right?
Yeah, it's a bit shit, isn't it?
Like that's never going to happen anywhere else. Like it's just in any other sport. It's just the pandering to the biggest scale. And all I see is when everyone dares to criticize this, it will be, well, India had to play every game of the 2023 World Cup in different venues. And it's like, we're not talking about that tournament. We're talking about this one where a team plays the same stadium, same ground, same conditions throughout the entire tournament, and every other team has to either travel from one country to another or play at different stadiums. It's an advantage, and that is that, right?
I mean, yeah, like taking out that they're playing in one stadium just throughout the tournament because
Yeah,
they don't want to go into another country for
yeah,
political and religious
yeah.
reasons that we don't really have the breadth of knowledge to
No,
discuss
I
in
wouldn't.
great
No.
detail. And but like the teams having to fly out and then fly back, it's
Yeah,
causing some fatigue and
it's not.
like
Yeah.
obviously the other team will gain an advantage from that happening.
Hmm.
And then you put in the fact they do have the one stadium, the one ground that they can get used to and basically use as a home ground.
Yeah.
Their fans can just stay around there. They
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
have to travel, so they've got a bit of a hub and like they can build it up as like a mini India.
Effectively. Yeah. And because of this, we don't know where the final is going to be next Sunday. It could be in Pakistan. It could be in Dubai. Who knows? I think that's just ludicrous. But you know, I've spoken about this at length ridiculously before, but it was no surprise to anyone that this tournament was being held in Pakistan. But of course, it took until the 11th hour until any kind of breaks were screeched onto this. Um, but there's just so many this was always going to be the possibilities, but I just don't understand why logistically they weren't. told that they would be able to go. They could play at different grounds. So Abu Dhabi, for example, Dubai, and then they can move around. So it's similar, or at least two grounds. So it's not always just the same ground. And also why they played their final group game last. I guess because it's a Sunday and that's going to be prime viewership figures, and that's all that matters to the ICC, I suppose, because it's money. But if India had played their final group game before South Africa had, for example, then you know, they would have known who's going to have to travel to Dubai, and there'd be less of this kind of pandering to one team. And it's just annoying. And people can comment what they want. I genuinely don't care. It's it's just ridiculous. And the conditions are just completely different. You watch the games in Pakistan, which are run fests. You know, 300 is basically the pass score unless you're England. And you then watch the games in Dubai, like especially today, which was a decent enough game, where India kind of fought their way to get to about 240, and then New Zealand 200 all out, where spin was a huge factor. And that has been less so in the Pakistan games. And India picked their squad because of that, and they've packed their squad of spinners, which is that's fine. It's they've been given this, and any other team's going to make use of that. So I don't really blame India. I think it's more the ICC nonsense of the fact that this tournament was planned in the cards for ages, and then it's just a shambles when we get here. It just doesn't feel like a tournament. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's only going to last like 10 days,
Yeah,
right?
and also it's
But,
a point.
like,
Yeah,
how does that
pointless.
feel like a proper tournament?
Yeah, but it's a money tournament. It's a way that they can get Pakistan and India to play each other because they don't play each other normally. That's it.
Yeah. They
So
haven't had
so
an international tournament for about 2 months, so they have to get another one fit in.
so a ringing endorsement for the Champions Trophy so far.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll move on from India before we just lose any kind of following. Um, Our next, I think New Zealand have played well. They lost today, but I think they played really well. Had a really mature performance against Pakistan, beat Bangladesh. There's been runs for Williamson, Young, Ravindra. Good to see Kyle Jameson back today. Santner looks great. I think they're a well-gelled team. Glenn Phillips just taking worldies at point. That catch today off Kohli was just insane. The fact of the matter is, when Phillips took that catch, Kohli was still swinging his bat from the shot. Like that shows you the reaction time for that. It was like nothing, and the speed of that was coming because Kohli absolutely middled it. Um, an incredible catch. He took a great one as well at the start of the tournament as well. Um, and I think did you say New Zealand last time they were your favourites
Yeah, they were
potentially?
coming into the tournament with the best form. Flash had played the games,
Yeah,
most ODI games in close proximity to the actual tournament,
yeah,
as opposed to a few teams had a couple of games the week before and then hadn't played another ODI for like
yeah,
since October or
yeah.
November. So
No,
yeah,
agree. Yeah,
and they're
we obviously.
still my favorites. They're just a really well-rounded team.
Yeah, and they take ODI seriously. Um, I also thought maybe today is the loss they needed to have in a kind of sporting cliche. Like
Yeah.
I'd say you'd rather lose to India now when you've already qualified and then up your game when you probably play them again, I would say.
The
Like,
eventual winners of a tournament always lose a
yeah,
game.
yeah.
It's
The loss they
usually
needed
like,
to have.
yeah, it's usually like the very first game or an unexpected loss, but this being
Yeah,
a bit of a weird, oh, they're playing in a different country to where the tournament's actually being held
yeah.
in different conditions.
Hmm.
That's,
Yeah,
I think that's weird enough to,
I think so, yeah. And you
yeah,
could say they've already had one go at that, in those conditions. They're prepared for them. They know what to expect because it's going to be the same ground. So they're going to be prepared and going to be ready, which I think is good, will hold them in good stead. So, I would say when they play South Africa, which I'm going to segue into, is probably going to be it's tricky because I really wanted the New Zealand South Africa final. I thought that would have been good because I think they're two very good sides who've kind of gone under the radar. I will just say, preface, the four best sides are in the semi-finals, but I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. Um, but I think that South Africa and New Zealand, I think, are equally as exciting and have buckets of potential. but aside from you, I'd say maybe are not at the top of lists for people's favorites, just because you have the powerhouses of Australia and India. But I think they're probably, in my bias, potentially better sides. I think New Zealand are on that kind of upward curve. I know they what it's Test cricket, it's a completely different format, but like you mentioned, their form, but they beat India 3-0 in India. South Africa have been really consistent for a long time. Australia at the moment are hampered with injuries, so I feel like name to name, team sheet to team sheet, South Africa probably pip Australia to that. I mean, India is still excellent, but I really fancy these two in a semi-final. I'm a bit gutted we're not going to get that, but it would be a good semi-final at least. But I kind of want both at the final in a roundabout way. But South Africa have been good, and they've not lost the game.
Yeah, and that's counter to their form coming in. They had, I
Yeah,
think, lost every single ODI game coming into the tournament.
they had a
But
series against Pakistan at home. I can't remember the results per se, but they always look good,
yeah,
if that makes
exactly.
sense.
Like even in their defeats, they were still like competitive scores, still going over
Yeah.
300 for a few games.
Mhm.
It's Klaassen and one other, like I can't remember his
Maybe
name.
Ryan Rickleton. They've got Bavuma, Van
Uh,
der Dussen,
I'm not
Miller.
thinking of Bavuma.
But
I,
Bavuma is consistent-ish, but yeah, Rickleton and Van der Dussen and Miller always kind of do bits,
yeah,
but Klaassen has really kind of stepped up the gear in recent times. And also the bowling, you got Nagidi, you got Rabada, Janssen was excellent against England, who are pathetic. Um, Maharaj, they're just they're a settled side.
yeah.
I think they're a really good settled side, similar to New Zealand. So I think they're similar in a way. Um, and then Australia also qualify after winning one game out of three. Does that make sense?
Like it was a bit of a weird group in general. Like
Yeah.
Australia had the two no results.
hmm
But like to be fair, I think they win the game against Afghanistan. They were on course.
They would be. They won it. Yeah. They of course.
But I
Yeah. I'm
think,
just being pedantic.
yeah, you're just being the get our clicks
I
from
mean,
Australian fans.
I said last pod Australia will win it. I'm big Australia fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and now they're 2 wins away.
yeah, from winning one game. Um, there was a good little post from Ben Gardner from the Wisden who said Australia have won one Champions Trophy game in the last 15 years and they're in the semi-finals. Great. But I mean, you're right. They would have beaten Afghanistan. They were in prime position there, but they are going to be without Matt Short in the semi-final, who was went off injured in that game. And to add that with their lack of frontline bowlers, I think against India, I know they got Travis Head and India like have this kind of voodoo with Travis Head a little bit, but I can't see any other result really other than India winning. As much as it pains me to say because I love Australia.
Biggest fan in the world.
Biggest fan. But I would think India would probably still get to the final. I think just because that depleted side for Australia, and they've done pretty well. Their win against England was obviously excellent. Um, but we'll get to England in a bit. And obviously didn't play South Africa, which I think would have been a really interesting game to see where Australia were at. So you could say they've not after that England game, they've not had any kind of pressure situation, I suppose. But who knows? It's a Champions Trophy. It's everyone's favorite tournament. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
That's why we love this game.
Anything can and will and maybe will care about it being
Yeah.
that way.
Oh, okay. And then the rest, like Pakistan were useless. Bangladesh, pretty much the same. Afghanistan beat England, which isn't hard, and then England lost three from three. Do you want to talk? Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess a sad note for Pakistan in this tournament that they should be hosting. They played, in the end, just one game in Pakistan. One was washed out, and obviously one in Dubai against India. So, a cracking tournament for them.
Yeah, it's just weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's so stupid.
Oh gosh. Right. Speaking of stupid, England.
We don't even plan the segues.
No,
Just happen.
just natural. Where do you want to start? Shall we talk about positives?
Cool. So now we're done with the positive.
So I will quickly say. the two positives, and there are, I mean, Rashid bowled okay, but I don't think he bowled anything other than okay. Um, Duckett and Root were good. So
Yeah,
Duckett finished the series, basically the competition. 209 runs, it's an average of 75, a strike rate 108, highest of 165. In that, obviously, that predominantly is that 165 against Australia, which for the most part, England were in the game until they kind of didn't accelerate at the end. But 165 opening and batting is the kind of big score that we'd been crying out for ages from the ODI England team. And I think he's pretty much cemented his place at the top of order of ODIs going forward. He looks solid and consistent, which is great. And then the other positive is Root. Three matches, 225 runs, an average of 75, strike rate 96, and highest 120, and that's his first 100 since the 2019 World Cup. Um, so good for him to be back on form. Um, Jofra kind of just gets in. I didn't think he bowled particularly well, but he got 6 wickets, an average of 32, but economy rate of going about 6.7, best of three for 64. Three of those wickets coming against Afghanistan in a power play. Um, anything on those?
I mean, I think just Jofra playing the games is a positive and not getting injured, just
Yeah.
getting match fitness and prepared to like considering how abysmal the tournament went,
Yeah.
like to just essentially sort of recontextualize it as Jofra's just getting a bit of fitness in a
Yeah.
3 games that like ultimately do we care about? Like it's easy to say that now that England have
Yeah.
like been
Yeah.
dumped
Yeah.
out, but if they'd have won the tournament,
Yeah.
it just feels like a League Cup kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
if you win it, great. That's when you care. If you lose it,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
True.
also,
I think it's,
it's more the manner in which England
as I
lose
was going to
it.
say, yeah, it's the pathetic nature of this tournament, which has been the overarching thing. Before we get onto the biggest news, I think I'm just going to carry on with our recurring theme for England cricket this winter is some of the media talk. Um, following England's loss against Australia, first of all, Liam Livingston spoke to the media. I don't have the full quote, um, but he had a interview with Test Match Special, and this kind of did the rounds massively. In that he said, in the quote unquote of his a minute interview, was that I don't personally think this performance deserved to lose, and I just feel as though that's like you understand in context kind of what he's saying, but also you lost, so you did deserve to lose. And I feel like, and that performance did deserve to lose. You should have got more runs. Livingston was a player himself who should have scored more runs at the back end, and the bowling was nowhere near good enough. Like in that game, the only players that stood up were Duckett and maybe Rashid and Root a bit.
Yeah. Like
I don't know. And, yeah.
cricket isn't a sport where if you play badly, you win.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
the only like singular only game I can think of is the Stoke-Leach Test match at Headingley,
Yeah.
where England were abysmal for most of it, and they were like bailed out by
Yeah.
one of the best batting performances of all
Yeah.
time,
Hmm.
and Ben Stokes also getting a really good 100.
Yeah. You're talking about Joe Denley's 50, aren't you?
Obviously,
Crucial. It was crucial.
that's what everyone remembers. Um, yeah, that derailed my train of thought.
Like, so yeah, if you deserve to lose games when you're playing badly, or yeah, if you win a game, you deserve to win it.
Yeah, if you lose, you deserve to lose. You lose the
Yeah, unless it's like some kind of freak of nature of batting and it's like
yeah,
Stokes.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not
agree.
an anomalous outcome
Hmm.
that you've lost
Yeah.
if you've been shit. And I think
Hmm.
I'd have been more fine if Root or Duckett had said that, who'd actually done something in the
Yeah,
tournament
yeah, yeah, I think so.
because they had a bit of like they've got a bit of tout about them because
Yeah,
but if it's Livingston who
did nothing.
he's not even done the Livingston thing is getting 20 off 11 or whatever it's
I'll
20.
give you a stats for the tournament if you like.
Sure.
Th he got 33 runs and an average of 11, a strike rate of 82, highest of 14, three wickets at 33, best of two for 28, and that was those two wickets came in the last over of Afghanistan's innings. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, but
going
even
averaging 11.
it's that strike rate that
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's just not a very Livingston thing. Like
no,
even if he's only scoring some, at least he's only taking a few balls to do it.
yeah.
But even like you can just tell there's not loads of confidence in him.
There's
And
nothing at all. Yeah,
like
not
or
whatsoever.
yeah, I just don't think the format suits him particularly.
No, I don't think it's going to suit him much longer. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think it's just Duckett came out after they lost and I think gave quite a humble and quite a honest, raw interview after, when you get 160 odd, most times you're going to win that game. And I think, he was generally pretty gutted. And I think that kind of performance rocked them for the rest of the tournament. But yeah, I think just coming out afterwards and saying we didn't deserve to lose that game is just nonsense. Our mate Alex Hartley, who obviously works Tech Smash Special, then came out afterwards to say, and I think I'm just quite happy that there's vocal people from in England rather than just sort of being like mates. So she said the arrogance of the England teams irritates me. Obviously, teams referring to women's as well.
Mhm.
They say we don't care about the result and we want to entertain, but people don't want to come and watch you if you lose all the time, and that's, I think, it's just bang on. Like, are you going to retain all your fans by playing an exciting brand of cricket that just consistently loses? England men have won one game this year, and that's a T20, which they lost a series of 4-1. I it's not, and it's not even entertaining viewing. There's nothing entertaining about what I watched in this trophy. Like, useless.
Like even the interviews have been just kind of boring and devoid of charisma.
Yeah, like speaking of Butler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to Butler in a sec. Don't you worry. But there's the final quote before we move on. This comes from the coach, Brendan McCullum. Um, So this is from Wisden, which came from yesterday. Um, McCullum's believe that their ability has been stifled because they care too much. Probably the single greatest thing for us, which I felt since jumping into the white ball job, is that these guys are too hard on themselves. Is that
I
excusey?
I don't really know what it is.
Yeah,
It it's I don't know. I know we'll get on to Butler, but like he
yeah,
did an interview where he just kind of spoke in platitudes and
yeah,
cliches. I think that's just what this is. It's just an answer to give the media for a quote and
hmm.
not actually what McCullum thinks.
Because I don't really, I mean, I'm sure they do because they're playing for England, but I just don't really look at this team and feel like I get that sense of I really want to do this. Which brings us on to Butler, who resigned. Um, I mean, he had to, right?
Like from the very beginning of his captaincy,
Hmm.
we were both like, we're just not really infused by it. I don't
No.
really see it. I don't see him as a like an enthusiastic person or a motivator of other people. Like great as a wicket keeper and like as a vice captain or someone that can sort of help you out with field settings and
Yeah.
advice to bowlers. I just don't get any sense of leadership from him, and
No.
that has been evidenced in the dire white ball form
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
majority of his tenure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, don't want to like defend him because I think he's, also he's brought about his own downfall in some regards. I do feel like the team he was given wasn't ever allowed to be his. Do you know if that makes sense? Like he's obviously in that kind of sense that he is captain still, but it was all hangers on from the Morgan era, which was kind of depleting anyway. It was just kind of gaffer taping and sticky taping over the cracks, being like the 2023 World Cup. Stokes is not quite fit, but let's quickly bring him back in and he can win us a World Cup on his own, hopefully. This tournament, Root's not played an ODI in ages. Let's just bring him to tournament. I know he does well, but that's Root, but he hasn't been in the team for ages. Just people coming in last second, like this is going to be the fix. we're not going to plan for it. And I guess there is this argument to say that, well, he hasn't had his best team available all the time. But then I don't know. It's just there's not been any kind of I don't think any clear strategy or view of how they wanted to manage this white ball team. It's just been picking whoever is available when and whoever they got a gut for. Like the 2023 World Cup, I think was a bigger shambles than this in the sense of that tournament that they didn't know who their opening bats were going to be. In the end, they had to pick Dawood Milan because his form was too good, but you just knew they didn't want to, and they wanted to pick Jason Roy, but then Milan was just saying he can't because I'm scoring runs for fun, and then bringing in Stokes last minute. And I don't know, I'm rambling. I'm just at a head loss for it. I feel like he's just like you say, I don't see him as a captain. I think he's a good vice captain. He's a good experienced player. But I've never looked at Joss aside from maybe the 2022 T20 World Cup, which obviously they won. I never really got the sense that he enjoyed it or has necessarily been like a solid leader. Um, all I hear is he's a good bloke. That's all I hear. He's a great guy in the dressing room. But that doesn't mean you're a captain either, because when it does go wrong, it's you kind of want some reality check. And if you just got a mate as your captain, I don't think you're ever going to get that.
Yeah, I think after an interview he did with Guy post-match, NASA was talking about how he's like not the kind of person to be really outspoken and
Yeah,
like I don't think he said Chelsea, but like that sort of outspoken captain
yeah,
archetype,
hmm
which is fine,
yeah,
but he also in that specific interview, I think it was after Afghanistan, he just didn't he looked tired. He was
yeah,
definitely disappointed, but he just didn't really give off a lot of emotion from it.
yeah.
There wasn't a lot of
Checked
charisma.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think he's also been checked out before this tournament started. If I'm honest,
yeah,
I think that's a big telling point. Like, I don't think he's playing ODI cricket again. I think that's it.
yeah,
He'll probably play T20s because there's a World Cup next year, but I think that's it. I can't. Everyone's saying like, oh, he can do a Joe Root. He's not coming back. I'll be absolutely astounded if he did.
yeah,
Like, I don't think he cares. I mean, I know that's quite harsh, but I feel like he's at the stage of his career now. He's like, well, I've won a 50 over World Cup. I've won a T20 World Cup. I've got a young family. There's so many franchise tournaments around the world. I'm still at what I'm nearing the end of my career, but I'm still at like a decent place where I could still perform in these franchises, go for big money, get a good less settled living for when I retire, and then still represent England T20s, and that'd be it. I can't see anything else other than that.
yeah. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if he just retired from all England formats
Yeah, it's
because
also on the table for sure.
it just
Um,
seems like an exhausting time just being a part of England cricket in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah, I think so. And he's gone through the Matthew Mott era, which I almost forgot his name earlier, but there he is. Um, got him sacked. And I feel like he should have gone in the summer at the same time. I feel like it was you're just singling out Matthew Mott at that stage. I think they both should have gone. And then see where you go from there. Um, and maybe with a fresher mind midsummer last year, he might have come into it being a bit more freer. But just batting wise, he's just a shadow of what he was.
Yeah,
Like I remember that there was the Australia game, I think it was, where he hit Maxwell for like 15 off the over, and there were like 7 overs left, and all he needed to do was just like, oh, I'll knock it round, and I'll be in for the last six, and then he tries to go for another six, gets nowhere near it, gets caught on the boundary. It's like if you'd have stayed into the end, you could have won that game, but I just don't know if your mindset was in it. It's too clogged up. You don't want to be here, which I think questions have to be asked. I think like I don't think he really did.
yeah. Like it's just a mindset issue
Yeah,
that, isn't it? Like you would expect an experienced player to know the game state and just
yeah,
stick around, knock around a few runs and just
yeah,
help the tail out if they're there.
yeah.
But
And
he's
like, yeah,
probably thinking, this is my last real chance to prove to everyone that I'm the captain. So I need a bit of a captain's knock
Yeah,
in like the Ben Stokes mold.
yeah. But then he's not in that kind of gear, is he?
Yeah.
I think, and again, this argument of being like, oh, he can do a Joe Root, go back to ranks to be good again. But Root was carrying the team on his back when he was captain. They weren't winning, but he was still scoring. He was the only person scoring runs,
Yeah.
and Butler isn't doing that. So what's to say that he, when he's not captain, he is going to as well? Like maybe he will, and it will get the shackles off. But I think, like you say, in the way he speaks in his interviews, I mean, I don't like to say that anyone doesn't care about it because I think that's sometimes quite harsh. But you're not giving me anything to like persuade me otherwise in your interviews. And if you're going to give off that kind of monotone PR talk, then that's what people are going to expect and see that you don't care. I would, if he'd just come out with like that kind of humility and, a little bit of anger, a bit of like annoyance, be like, we should be better than this. We've won World Cups. Why are we not at this level? People have to take a look at themselves. And I think it's just that kind of excuse kind of stuff like, oh, we play a lot of cricket. We haven't got our best availability. We've got injuries. But like Australia into the semis with like half their side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, have you got much to say on Butler? I'm reading this article from Wisdom. They're giving him -1 out of 10 for this tournament, which I think is fair.
I think that's about fair.
Um, Actually, it might just be one. I think there's just a dash, but I'd give it maybe -1 is more fair.
Yeah, I'm still with the -1.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just incredibly disappointing, and I think just to, I mean, not rounding up things. I think there's still a lot to go, but like, just the way yesterday was conducted was a complete utter shambles. I don't know if you saw much of it or knew much of it.
Um, no, I guess I was in the same kind of mindset as the England players.
Yeah,
It's like checked out, you're already eliminated from the tournament. What's the point?
yeah. Yeah, and I agree.
And
I
it,
completely agree. And I just feel like when you're still at that international level, surely you have to conduct yourself better than just throwing the towel in. Like, there's players in there
yeah,
who should be, in inverted commas, playing for their place and playing for their future. And you have Phil Salt come out and just try and whack every ball in the first over, and then he's out for 8 off 4. And it's like, well, again, like Butler, do you care? Like, do you not want a England career? Is the T20 career all you want? And it's just, but you know my feelings on Salt anyway. I think he's useless.
yeah. It just it's not a specific dig on Salt, but it just feels like poor team planning to
Yeah,
just put someone who'd probably be better, like mid order as the opener, to put someone who's been playing at three for pretty much every ODI game prior to the tournament at four, so you
yeah.
can bring in a player who wasn't even keeping over at three, even though he's a
Yeah.
wicketkeeper by trade. But
I think he kept some of the games. I don't think he kept the yesterday, but I think he kept some of them. But
okay, well,
again, that's great.
yeah, which even if he's not keeping every game and then just did one or two,
Yeah.
that's not great.
No,
You need a
that
consistent
consistency.
keeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. Also yesterday, if like Salt played in a way that I know I'm honing in on Salt, but just an example. But he just yesterday played in a way being like, I'm not going to play ODI cricket again. I'm just going to give it a swing, which is fine. But then if that's his mentality, and also as a squad, that's the mentality. Why yesterday weren't you playing Banton and Rayan Ahmed to be like, look, we're playing South Africa, who are a quality side. This is a great opportunity for you to show we're going to have to go rebuild after this. Stake your claim, see what you can do. Salt's had a go, he's not delivered. You guys have a go, and then we can rebuild afterwards. But you coming in here and putting in a good shift would be, instrumental in hopefully you getting a go later on. I, right? The
Yeah,
competition's gone. What are you getting from Salt, who's obviously not going to play ODI cricket again?
it's just a very England mentality. Like they're not
Yeah,
proactive in refreshing the team or trying to
yeah.
evolve into a different team, unless it's the test team, which only
Hmm.
happened because someone really tried to play ODI style cricket with them.
Yeah.
It just feels like a refusal to change and like scared to change because they don't know how it's going to go and they fear that it's going to go badly, even though it is currently going badly with the plan that you've got in place. So,
Yeah, yeah. I disappointing. I mean, I'll quickly run off the stats for you just to give you the sorry reading. So Salt, 3 matches, 30 runs at 10, strike rate 120, highest of 12. Brilliant. Jamie Smith, obviously put in at 3 matches, 24 runs, average of 8, strike rate of 82, highest of 15. Just some really poor dismissals in there as well. So his kind of stock has gone down a wee bit. Brooke, 3 matches, 47 runs, average of 15, highest of 25. Butler, 3 matches, 82 runs at 27, highest of 38. We spoke about Livingston. It just gets worse. Like Jamie Overton, 2 matches, 1 wicket, 106. Bryden Cast got injured halfway through, so I don't think that's really relevant. Rashid, 3 wickets at 48, which isn't great. Wood got injured in the Afghanistan game, 1 wicket, 125. And then Saki played a Tokumi match yesterday, which is probably good for him to play, but no wickets in that game. Just nothing, is it?
uh,
And I think, you know, worthy of their 3 losses. Did I have another rant? I can't remember.
probably did.
Maybe I did. Don't think I did. I think one of my other annoyances is that this series, this competition has left both Wood and Cast injured, which is good for their Ashes planning. So brilliant. Love to see that. That'll bode well, I'm sure. But McCullum did say that the view is to play Jofra in the tests this summer, so that is good news. Um, if he gets there. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally expecting to get injured during the test. So I'll just take whatever Jofra I can get at the minute. So it's fine.
that's all we need. I think this is our third year doing pods, I think we started in March 2022, um,
We started a
when
few
Root
months,
resigned.
yeah, it was a few months before your wedding,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
'Cause we had break for wedding or whatever
yeah, true.
odd title was.
Yeah, yeah. How many England meltdowns have we had? I think it's mostly been white ball because it started with the test match stuff and then it descended into white ball stuff, right?
Yeah, I feel like we've had probably one every episode, but
It feels like that. I'm just feel like you're my wit's end about it. So what can we do, Jamie? We can rebuild for the future. So we have prepared. I'm loving my segues today. Um,
and again, it's the spiritual we.
um, well, I don't know. You haven't done this, right? Or have you
Uh,
done this?
no, so you asked me if I wanted to do a pod yesterday, if
Yeah,
for today,
yeah,
on the weekend.
yeah.
And as I was playing Death Stranding, I was like, yeah, I'll do a pod. And then you were like, let's do our team for the future like we did with the test matches
Yeah.
when Root was like, I was like,
But now it's Buttsignation.
yeah,
So you've not done it.
no, I was playing Death Stranding.
How was it? Was it good?
Yeah, it is good. It's
Okay.
very, it's weird. Like you're delivering stuff to people in a apocalyptic sci-fi
Uh,
world, and like you're carrying a little baby in a yeah, jar kind
uh-huh.
of
A
situation.
baby in a jar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
it's weird. It's like it's good, but it's like mostly a walking simulator with a bit of sort of horror jump scare
uh,
moment.
I mean,
But
to be honest, it
it's
sounds,
more fun than what you would have had with
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was about to say it sounds much more fun than what we're going to discuss. Um,
I mean, we can just discuss Death Stranding. That's
I've written my list. I've got to go over my list.
sure, but I'm just saying, like, there's an actual like film cast in it. Like Norman Reedus is in there. You've got
Yeah, I see.
they
I think,
do.
yeah,
Guillermo del Toro is basically a main
yeah, nice.
character, which is a shock.
That's
Matt
fun.
Nicholson.
Yeah.
There's someone else that I'm forgetting, which is pretty big. I know for the sequel they've got a voice actor from one of my favorite animes,
Oh, nice.
but
I
the
mean, big,
Japanese voice actor as well. So that's great.
but the big question is though. which of those is going to open for England and ODIs?
I think the baby could.
Yeah, probably do better.
I think the 28, I think it's 28 weeks. I think it's the 28-week-year-old baby that only lives inside a weird orange container. I don't know what to call it.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. I'll probably look it up, see what I can do.
Yeah.
Need some enjoyment. Um, right, cricket.
No, I kind of feel like I'm just going to derail.
Crickets. You've not done a team, but is there anyone you'd like to see recalled or debut going forward?
So from the current squad,
Hmm.
I would keep Rian
Yep,
Ahmed,
yep,
Jofra Archer,
yep,
Harry Brook,
yep,
Ben Duckett,
yep,
Sakib Mahmood.
yep.
But that's also like half because I got a Sakib bias. So like
I'd
take that
still,
with
yeah, I'd still stick with Saqib, I think.
yeah, I'd say take that with a pinch of salt, but I wouldn't
Yeah, not Phil Salt.
yeah, he can fuck off. And I keep Joe Root as well and Brighton Cast.
Nice. Yeah,
But like
yeah. I mean,
the others can fuck off. But Butler has um
yeah,
I'm 50-50 over Atkinson. I'm not
he's gone for me.
yeah, I don't think he's good enough. Banton, if he was good enough, he would have been playing loads more. I think it's unfair on him, but yeah. Livingston, fuck off to T20s. Jamie Overton, not particularly bothered either way, but
Maybe
sure that you
that
can
sums
do
it up.
better. Rashid, I think he should have retired ages ago and we should have
Yeah,
moved on from him.
yeah.
Uh, Jamie Smith is a leave him out for now, just let him develop a little bit.
Focus on tests, same as
Yeah.
Axon, I think.
Um, and Mark Wood, I- just leave him alone, just let him
Yeah, it's
like
just
he's
I
got
feel so bad for Wood every time he gets
yeah,
injured, but it's sort of like how often can he keep doing this? Like he should have. I just feel like he should have been prioritizing one format ages ago.
yeah, and he's playing in every format
I
as
know
often as
it's
he
just
can.
yeah,
And
I madness.
at like some point, you can't even blame the selectors for it. Like it's got to be a
Yeah,
Wood thing for him to stand up and say, "I can't put my body through as much cricket as I'm putting it
yeah,
through
100%,
because I keep getting
100%.
injured, and that's
Yeah,
only gonna do bad
aggravate
for
it.
me in later in life." But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
I
fuck him off as well.
Yeah, I mean, mine's mostly the same. I'll be perfectly honest. The
Yeah,
main question is before I
I
talk about mine.
yeah, I would just like to say we're fucking off Wood in the nicest possible way
Oh yeah, I love Wood.
because
Wood's great,
yeah, we really like Wood.
but he
But we,
should be playing one format at most if his
yeah,
body can take it, and that should
still
be test.
yeah, still fuck him off, but
Yeah,
fuck him off in a nice. It's not fucking him off in the same way
yeah.
we're fucking like Phil Salt. I like Phil Salt, but he's just a bit T20 coded.
He is. I mean, that's also I don't know necessarily think that's his fault
Yeah.
in a way. Like he is a product of what English cricket has become, which is win the 50 over World Cup, and now let's just focus on T20 and the 100,
Mhm.
and then we're seeing the results of that quicker probably than people expected. But a lot of young players have to come up by playing 50 over cricket. But these younger players now are being, talk about Jacob Bethel, for example. He's already playing in the 100 and stuff. He's already been picked up. He's already a high quality player. So he's not going to have the same kind of um, I guess, exposure to playing longer form white ball cricket. I mean, I know that before the 2019 World Cup, hardly any of the England team will play domestically, but they all would have played initially when they started out. So they all have an understanding of what the 50 over game is and how to play a longer form. But the younger players coming through now won't because it's all franchised T20. But why is that an issue for England, but not an issue for every other country? It's because we've introduced a stupid tournament no one else plays. But I mean, that's not. Um, so more question before I give you my hotly awaited team, which isn't really surprising. Um,
Yeah. So um, the baby like plugs in.
so with the baby to one side, who is your new captain? Because we've now got haven't got a captain.
Uh, Next question.
Because last year I said, I think we were talking about Butler last year, and I said it's probably time for Harry Brook. Um, and it
It,
seems like he's on the cards, but now I've put him as my captain, and I don't feel good about it.
it's just a boring
It
choice.
is.
It's just a like Rob Key doesn't have any other option.
Can I throw another name at you?
Uh, there's only one name that I'm willing to listen about.
It's it's not Jofra.
Yeah, well,
Um,
conversation's done there.
what about Duckett?
I mean, I like it more than Brooke, but it's still a bit
Yeah.
meh.
I haven't really kind of decided. I put captain for both, so it probably would be Brook captain, Duckett vice captain.
Nah,
Um, but again, I don't really like it.
I
I,
think at this point you might as well just go with a spicy captain. And I'm not
yeah,
necessarily saying Jofra, but like just someone that you don't expect because England
yeah.
need to spice up how they play and how they like interact with the
Yeah.
sport and this format. So you might as well
I
just go with a spicy captain pick and just see how it goes. Like,
In an ideal world, I think they should go for an experienced captain, a county captain, which would leave you the options of Lewis Gregory of Somerset. I think is a very, very good captain. He's an all-rounder as well. He's played a lot of 50 over cricket, a lot of T20 cricket. He's played a little tiny bit for England. I think it'd be a really good option. They're never going to do that. The other options are James Vince, and probably Sam Binnings. None of these are ever going to happen.
yeah,
It's
which
going
to
to be
be
Harry
fair,
Brook.
yeah, like those having no chance of happening are what makes them spicy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because like
yeah,
Billington and Vince have played for England a little bit, but not much. I'm
yeah.
not sure if Gregory has, but
He played. Do you remember that series of COVID where Stokes took over
mhm.
and the whole squad was out? He played
Yeah,
that series,
yeah,
played three
yeah.
games there, and he helped win the game, the final game, where Vince also got 100 and Gregory got about 70 or something. But he offers a point of difference in bowling. He's a bit kind of a medium pacer. He's not quick. He kind of bowls swing and cutters and stuff. And I think he's just a very good, experienced county captain who could wrangle a younger, new side going forward. And then it leaves the option open for people like Duckett, Brook, Root, all of which are still in my ODI side. You haven't asked, but they're all still there. Um, and they can still play Test cricket and then not be available for ODIs, and it's not going to impact the leadership too much. I feel like when they go Brook, you're putting on so much pressure for him to play all formats um, in a year where you're playing India in five tests and then the Ashes. Um, I don't know if that's right for him at this stage of his career, and whether you just have a stopgap captain for a year. But then it's tricky. I like a spicy captain, but they're not going to do it.
I just don't think there's another option other than to go spicy if you want to be a bit more
Yeah,
successful, if you want to move on and
yeah,
evolve the game. Like I think it is too early for Brook. He still seems like he's in his not necessarily his infancy, but still very early on in his
yeah.
career.
He is, yeah, for sure.
So I think it's unfair to put that burden on him
Hmm.
so early.
Yeah.
He's not had a particularly
He's not in good form either. Yeah.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
not. Yeah. If he'd been scoring runs and putting in winning performances, he had a very good white ball series against Australia at the end of last summer where he captained, where he came in form. So you could argue potentially the extra responsibility does bring out the best in him. But then you look at how he struggles against spin. So you just take him anywhere where it spins, and suddenly you've got a captain who's going to struggle. And it's like, I mean, it's going to be Brooke.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would be sort of fine if it was like Root, but they told Root to be just
It would be funny if it'd be Root.
yeah, but it would be like tell him to just like be your reverse scoop,
Yeah.
wears weird masks
Yeah.
and plays pranks, Captain Root.
Yeah.
Don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Just kind of, and he can be the stopgap
Yeah.
because the issue with the stopgap is you won't take them seriously or put as much effort into the
Yeah.
games because you know
Yeah.
they're only there for so long.
And when does the stopgap finish?
Yeah,
Like, how do you end it?
yeah, exactly. But if it's Root as a stopgap, then you're giving Joe Root your respect and
Yeah,
attention and all of your effort because
yeah,
it's Joe fucking Root. Of course you are.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
you can sort of transition into the spicy pick and
yeah.
like just have a good vibe in the era of Jofra.
Maybe we've been blind this whole time and you've been the one right. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'll give you my side. It's not, it's not super spicy. I'm sorry.
I'm not having.
Because I tried to do it, and I wanted to be spicy.
Hold on. I'm just gonna get the Nando's spicy scale up. So I
Okay.
so that's how
Um,
I'm gonna grade your
do
spice.
I get extra spicy points for not picking Butler?
No.
Because I've seen every other side want to pick Butler still, and I just don't see it happening.
I don't think it's spicy to want to pick Butler, and I don't think it's spicy to want to drop him.
Okay, fair
Like
enough.
I think logic is a strong word for it, considering how well the tournament's gone.
Yeah. Well,
Like
my rationale, I was gonna go either Root or Butler, and I don't think you have both. Was my
um,
perspective. If you want a
yeah,
fresh start, I feel like I want at least one experienced head,
yeah,
and I want one who's actually want to be there.
yeah. So that leaves just Root for
Yeah.
both.
And who still consistently performs. And I could tell you when Root last performed, he got 100 the other day. When did Butler last perform? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so you got the spice scale up.
I do, and it's not as interesting as I remembered.
Okay.
It's just like hot and medium, and
Okay. Okay.
it's only interesting if it's not very spicy, and then
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Well,
well, yeah, just go for it, and we'll see how the spice handles.
it's gonna be quite plain. So after your ringing endorsement earlier, I've gone Banton.
I wouldn't say it was a particularly damning endorsement. It was just
Yeah.
like
Shrug.
if he's never not played now, will he ever?
But is that more of a case of the mates club of this England setup?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but plenty of other players have gotten into the mates club and not
Yeah.
been particularly good. Like,
True. Yeah. I just feel Banton, in my perspective, he peaked quite young. Um, and he had that kind of breakthrough tournament all year in 2019, and they picked him off of that. And he got a couple of 50s and stuff, but he struggled. And we said in his last podcast that he really hated cricket after it.
yeah,
And I think just the fact that he's come back and he's scored consistently, he scored consistently not only in T20 cricket and franchise cricket, but also in red ball cricket, says to me that he can structure an innings properly. He can bat long. He's not going to necessarily give his wicket away by slogging. I'd much be happier for a player like him who can be aggressive, score
yeah,
quickly, um, batting at the top of the order. He's right-handed, so with Duckett, he's got the right hand, left hand, all that kind of stuff. I think they probably complement each other. And I would just give him the run of games. And I'd be like, I know it kind of falls into the cliquey kind of like England era, but I'd be like, it's going to be Banton and Duckett. That's it. You've got the next year to have this, make this position your own.
mhm,
Um, and then they can play in that kind of positivity way of not worrying about being dropped, all that kind of stuff I've criticised before. But I think if you're rebuilding, you've got to give a player like Banton that kind of positive affirmation that it's going to be you for this bit and then carry on, especially where it's treated before. So that's my non-spicy opening partnership.
sure. I don't
I've
hate it, but I'm fine with it.
yeah, yeah. I've promoted Joe Root to number three. Lucky for him.
Yeah, it's a bit of a controversial take, but
Yeah, no one ever thought of doing that.
yeah, sure.
Um,
Put him in his best position in the
yeah.
order where he's played every other ODI series and
I
competition.
have then recalled after I think he's only played two ODIs. Um, Sam Hain.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with Sam Hain?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So he's an experienced county player. So he's 29. So it's not like going ultimate youth. But in terms of 50 over cricket, he's played 64 50 over domestic games, 3,000 runs, an average of 57, and a strike rate of 86. So my thought process is that you've got a kind of Root and Hayne there who are kind of similar. but I think in the similar sense to how Root and Morgan used to be.
Mhm.
So you've got that kind of positive opening partnership of Banton and Duckett, and then you've got Root and Hayne who can stabilize and build the innings and then leave it for the later innings people to come in and smashy dash.
Yeah, I mean the top four feels very, like you said, stable. Like even if Banton and Duckett are still the positive ones,
Yeah,
they're not like throwing the wickets away there.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I could be a
if
selector.
they do, because it's cricket and that happens sometimes,
Yeah,
then you've got two more reserves that can
yeah,
express themselves. Players coming in at three or four. So yeah.
yeah. Why not?
I'm
YOLO.
not seeing the spice, but
There, I think Spice is going to be far removed. Um, Number five, I put Brooke,
mhm.
which is I, I've struggled to kind of get him in originally. I was like, I don't know if he's actually going to play. But I think he's got to be one for the future and one you stick with and hope you get the best out of him because he is a very talented player. So Brooks at five and he's captain of an
Sure.
eye roll.
But then are you just picking him because of that? He's definitely going to come good. Just need to keep him in.
Yeah, I think so. As wrong as that is,
Yeah,
I know
like
where it is, and I think his form recently has not helped. But I'm going more off of how he played in the summer, which is probably wrong. When he was captain, and then hope he comes good because I I don't know. I feel like they're going to go with Brook anyway, so I've got him in my team.
yeah, I think it's more that if you struggled to get him in, thereby implying you had potentially better options than Brooke
Hmm.
to fit the team,
Yeah,
then you're just kind of shoehorning him in. And does that
yeah.
help?
It was it
Which, to
was
be fair, is a little bit spicier than what you've already said.
yeah. It was between him and James Rue, but I kind of wanted to go a bit more experienced than someone throwing someone who's not played any before. Um,
See, that would have been spicy.
he's in my squad,
Okay. I mean,
but he's on the precipice. He would be in there if I hadn't have gone for Ollie Robinson at six, who is my keeper.
mhm.
So I think could very well play in Test cricket soon. So this is kind of, I guess, almost sort of going on potential two. So in terms of his stats, he's played 26, 50 over games, 821 runs, strike rate over 100, but most notably a highest of 206 not out. Um, and I think is a really promising young player. I mean, he's 26. He's not super young, but so he had experience. He's a very good keeper. He's a very good bat, and I think this gives you an opportunity to see how he goes at the international level, and then potentially also then plays Test cricket. And then if you've not got Butler there, he can make that position in his own. Give him a go.
Yeah. I mean, Robinson is the one keeper that I've heard about from you and read it.
Yeah,
That would like be the next one in the pipeline for
yeah,
England keepers. So
yeah,
again, not spicy, but
yeah.
understandable.
And yeah, I mean, comparing them to like James Rue. James Rue's 21. So you could also make the argument for going for him, and he's got a kind of a similar-ish average in
Mhm.
one-day cricket to Robinson, and he's got a very good first-class record. So I think you would be looking between both, for me, Robinson and Rue in there. I'd like to see one of them given a go and just given the gloves, and then see how that goes. That would be my preference.
Yeah,
Um, seven, I've gone Bethel, just because
yeah, sure.
good, promising young talent. We know what he does.
Yeah,
He's your kind of like second spinner in there as well. Also bats a bit, fitting that kind of I guess Mo Livingston role
yeah,
if you want.
mhm.
Um, Rayan Ahmed. So I've dropped Rashid.
Yeah, good.
Um, I'd probably still play Rash maybe in T20s, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, Bryden Cast,
Mm.
Jofra Archer, and then I've kind of done back 180. I've gone Reece Topley because I refused. I wanted the left armour, and I
Mhm.
refused to go Sam Curran.
Yeah, but what about David Willey?
Everybody's retired.
I that's not stopped England before.
Um, but I've also got in there, you got Matt Potts, obviously.
Mhm.
I've got Tom Haynes, who's an opening bat for Sussex, who's very good. Josh Hull, who we saw last summer briefly. Sakib, Tom Hartley, Josh Tongue, and Rocky Flintoff is
Yeah,
my little squad.
I mean, I'm not like blown away excited by it.
No. And
Or,
I really don't think there's a squad where you could be, whoa. Do you know what I mean? There's
yeah,
some other like younger players, but they're off the back of the 100, and I kind of want to look at players who've got experience playing longer form of cricket, and they have done it, and or they played Lions cricket, stuff like that. And I think you've got to build a background. You kind of it's fresh-ish. You are getting rid of some of the dead weight. Um, you're giving the reins to someone new, and I think you do. You know, people like Duckett and Root, Cast, Archer earn their place, and you have to have that kind of transition. But yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
struggle to get motivated.
Like it's a difficult sort of what's the word activity to do, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
just like you're not picking on like an actual format or like an actual sort of
yeah,
tangible evidence,
yeah,
which the selectors should be doing, but
yeah,
have been.
yeah. And like all my stuff I'm basing off is from a season just gone or
Yeah,
season before. Like the averages aren't necessarily what they're like now. And like James Root went to the Lions tour in Australia. I think he got a pair in one of the games. So it's like, but I don't know. I
yeah,
just feel like you want a decent middle order who are not just going to fall apart.
mhm,
Um, And I think 50 over cricket is kind of, although it's fast paced, I think you just see how other teams are going, that there is that kind of more test match-ish style of regrouping and playing properly, as opposed to England's hypothesis being like, well, you just slog it like it's a T20
yeah.
50 overs.
It's just a longer T20.
Yeah, yeah. So while like, England were fantastic in like the 2015, 2019 era, where they kind of redefined the game, but that game, that kind of way of being played isn't really the norm, is it?
No,
Like, I think they had an exceptional side and they had a lot of players who played together all the time. But if you have to go back a bit more traditional, then do it. Um, but yeah, that's my super hype thing. And I wouldn't necessarily go back to the likes of Vince and Dawson now. That would be my feeling.
yeah. I think the one position you didn't touch on is
Mm.
the coach.
Oh, it's still McCullum.
Is it though? Like,
Yeah,
is he
because
just not bringing the Basel plans and blueprints from test and just applying that?
I think he is.
So, like, well,
Um,
like that's clearly not working.
yeah.
Like, do we,
Um,
as
but he's
strong
only been in
as
the
it
job
sounds, do
since
we?
January.
I, but still, it just like it wasn't a very inspired decision at the
It's
time,
not. I don't think it is.
and I don't think it's a good decision. I don't
Probably
think
not.
it's a good idea for him to be splitting his duties like that. It will probably only hurt the test side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, as strange as it sounds, like, do we not need a more nuanced approach to the shorter formats than
Maybe.
test matches?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's such a short format, there needs to be like set tactical plans for
Yeah, for
over
sure.
X to X from X to X. Whereas test matches, you can kind of vibe it at
Yeah.
some point. You still obviously have plans, but like
Yeah.
approach doesn't change in the same way as it does like the other formats that.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
I heard on radio Test Match Special yesterday, I can't remember who made the point, might have been John Agnew, can't remember. Someone saying that but McCullum seems to be picking players based off him as a player. Like Phil Salt is in a way kind of what McCullum was, but McCullum was just a brilliant player and Salt isn't that level. Like
yeah,
McCullum would just come out and try and slog it from ball one.
mm,
But Salt did that, but not at the same level.
yeah,
So is he kind of picking on his image and how he thinks the game should be played rather than how necessarily it should be? So I don't know. I thought that was interesting-ish. Um, yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I mean, I'm not. It'll be Brooke, and that'll be announced in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, England absolute shambles, and then the next game is Zimbabwe, I think, or I think they might play ODIs against West Indies in May. I don't know. Do I care? Oh, at least the Champions Trophy is good.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's nearly over.
At least it's nearly over. Speaking of nearly over,
Mhm.
do you want to do your just not crick or you're not? Yeah, you're not crick
I mean,
segment, please.
assuming we have one,
Do you have one?
no.
No. Okay, fine.
We'll call the attempt at derailing the conversation with Death
That's a not
Stranding
crick.
the not correct.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Right, we'll wrap it up there then. Like England wrapped it up early. Um, where can people follow us, Jamie, if they wanted to?
Uh, just not correct. Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, podcast places.
All the places.
Yeah.
Um,
If you check
yeah,
just behind the couch or like under your bed, but with sometimes there.
probably there. Yeah,
Yeah. The monsters in the cupboard that like scratch at
yeah,
night and will let you fall asleep.
classic.
That's not us.
That's us.
Just get
That
that.
could be us.
I don't think it is. Just you should get
Oh,
that checked.
yeah, check it out. But yeah, give us a follow if you want. Um, I'm not sure when we'll be back. Maybe we might cover the final. I'm not really sure. I'm bothered. Did you want to cover the final?
I mean, if you send me a message the day before you want to record a pod, and yeah, sure.
If it's a brilliant game,
Hmm.
maybe we'll be back. Um, might be back when they announce Brooke is captain. I don't know. I'm genuinely not sure when they next play. We've got all the IPL to do about 4 months of the IPL to go through first.
So yeah,
Um,
IPL special coming.
IPL special is coming. It's been hotly requested. Um, but yeah, let us know if you've got anything else you want us to chat about. We'll maybe look at it. But if not, we'll see you when we see you, I guess. Bye.
But.